Let's go. The bus has launched. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 1 of the duos competition.
Well, we have basically a southern middle to kind of northwest bus path. Players already jumping out. I would expect at this point a pretty even spread. That south side of the map, we've seen multiple times in the past, was typically kind of a heavy drop. That little village in the southeast corner. But I'm going to be honest, based on what I've seen from scrim games, Frosty Flights is typically a pretty heavy drop. Wailing Woods, the corners of the map have quite a few materials. Plus those Stormwings, Jack, especially for mid-game rotations, are very important. It's not going to get you all the way past, let's say, Circle 6, Circle 7. At that point, maybe things are a little too tight. You have a moving circle and people are going to start maybe shooting you out of the air.
Yeah.
But a Stormwing will get you pretty far. But with scrimmage games and skirmish events like this, player count does not drop early. So you might be avoiding a lot of early game fights, but that doesn't mean you're out of the heat with a Stormwing.
Looks like Closey landed just outside Lucky here, this very south side of the map. You see the top right of your screen. 100 players remaining, 50 duos left. The new update that came out in the patch notes, the bush, it's actually really, really good now, Lupo.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of a defensive measure, just like the Snowman did previously. So it is interesting to see players. I'm going to be honest, before this update, I probably would have been flabbergasted to see a player run around with a bush.
But now it might be a little more common as we swap on over to Paradise Palms. You see Ghoul and Lanai in a fight with Saint and Jacob, as they're going to go ahead and back away. Health advantage to Lanai and Ghoul. That's a name I'm still trying to... He's French-Canadian.
He's French-Canadian.
Yeah, so...
Actually, there's a deep apology for many of us. We butchered his name in the past, but here we are trying to...
I'm going to still butcher it, just to be clear.
We're trying to get
I'm attempting, though. That's what counts.
Gray tack shotgun, a gray suppressed SMG sitting in Ghoul's inventory, 50 shield. Lanai's got 25. Looks like a stack of minis was found. Saint and Jacob there in the middle. Jay Cuddy and Punisher way out on the east side. And actually, they're not the furthest east. You can't see it, but there is one more player further past that. It looks like a duo split on the far southeast corner. Saint and Jacob, no shield between the two of them, but quite an arsenal here. A purple suppressed sniper rifle, that purple grenade launcher, 4 boogie bombs, which have come in clutch in very close range 1v1s we saw during warm-ups. Early elimination, Devious taken out. Oh,
Yep.
Devious and his duo.
He might have get both right there, yeah. And now, you hear that Stormwing coming on in. He's going to have to back on up for the moment. As both players jump on out, they want to get involved in this fight. Only 4 shotgun shots left. He's going to have to be quite accurate with these. Posey and Ziff just up top. And there goes the plane as it crashes down to the ground.
So Isaac with 2 eliminations already, picking up that duo inside. Lazy. You have to remember, we are running the bonus on health and shield when an elimination happens. So a little more aggressive gameplay, not necessarily a bad idea, Jack.
Yep.
You still, in a skirmish event like this, even the first game when everything's kind of still up in the air, you don't want to play overly aggressive, but it does give players the opportunity when they feel they have a shield or HP advantage. The time to push could be right after a hit, and they know that they're going to top off potentially after finishing a player off. So it kind of changes the way that things play. We've seen in pop-ups, players playing a little more aggressively, going for eliminations when they wouldn't typically.
I was wondering when they were going to finally take out that heavy sniper rifle and just bust through one of these walls, through one of these areas to take down this 2v1. It seems like they're a little bit hesitant to do so as of yet. Again, in these tournament environments, changes a little bit of how people play. There, they finally do get a tag on the player just on the other side. Shots coming on in, and there goes Zyzek as he goes down to the hands of Ziff. That was their plan all along. They knew he was by himself, and they finally cleaned him up.
Slow, kind of methodical play, probably more important in a situation like that. Like you said, a 2v1 situation doesn't necessarily mean you can discount that solo. He was sitting on quite an arsenal inside, as they had seen. He just took out a duel before that monster, Devious. So you never know what's in store. Do you push? Do you wait? Do you kind of bait them out? At this point, Lazy Lynx, too, they have quite a rotation to go. They're going to have to move about halfway past Loot Lake to make it all the way to the safe zone. And that north side, by the way, just south of Tomato Temple, there's a llama there. With only 1 team in Tomato, they might run into it just by default since it's out in the open with Ziff. Povesy going to farm up out here, the metal. You have to realize, too, lower material cap based on the pop-up cup stats.
Yep.
they're going to try and farm and hit that cap as early as possible.
Now, there's a lot of action going on, as we mentioned. One of the duos that was randomized, just like all of these, was Aiden with Butter. Butter, our last-minute entrant, and here's a replay that happened. Aiden and Butter in a fight with Slobbings and FPS. You see Aiden dropping on in, gets up close and personal. Gets knocked, though, so it's up to Butter to make the clutch play. And watch this, folks. This man wasn't prepared to play in this, comes here to just test the servers, and then now saves Aiden, one of the best players in the world. And oh, no. Harmful and Nick Merckx have now claimed the top of Big Red. As Butter and Aiden are on the back foot, the inevitable Battle of Tilted has begun.
I feel like we've seen this a number of times in the past. I don't think anybody's complaining. Aiden and Nick Merckx often seen toe-to-toe here in Tilted Towers. This time, Butter and Harmful. It's interesting, too. Nick Merckx and Harmful both tend to drop Tilted, and the fact that they're paired up for this,
yep,
that's a match made in heaven for a Tilted drop, Jack.
And another thing to point out as well, want to make sure everyone at home sees this in the spectator client right now. You might be wondering a couple quick little things. One, the where exactly is the material count? Well, that little build icon with the 70, that means they can place 70 materials, meaning they have around 700 materials they can use. Butter with a ton to his name, but here comes the fight. Aiden gets knocked. It's Harmful and Nick Merckx pushing on in. This looks like it could spell disaster for this duo. Aiden has been eliminated. Butter all by himself against Harmful and Nick Merckx. Good luck, my friend.
Down 50 shield as well. Nick and Harmful both sitting 100. Quite a advantageous position, but we'll see if Butter, it looks like he's trying to bait either Nick or Harmful in and just go for a quick shot. Try and catch somebody off guard. They're searching for him. He's trying to stay crouch walking around underneath. He does have a trap there. See if he can bait them into it. Looks like his position is known. He's going to have to try and build some ramps to defend. The shots coming through. Harmful and Nick both making connections, and Butter goes down. He was able to save Aiden in the previous engagement, but this time around, Nick Merckx asserts dominance.
Nick Merckx and Harmful win Tilted Towers. Back on over to Paradise Palms. That fight earlier from Saint and Ghoul, it looks like Jacob and his teammate have popped back in. It's Saint now popping on the res. It looks like the clutch is coming in. There's no way. There's no way he's going to be able to get him. Nope. Down goes Jacob and Saint all by himself.
Another 2v1 situation. He's not the only one here, though. There are a number of other teams kind of circling Sharks in the water. Jack looking to see if they can pick up a third-party Elam. These early game eliminations often very key in securing the checkpoints for,
yes,
or overall points for the event. Even just one or two, and you pick up a couple late game, can make a huge difference. We do have 81 players left, 43 duos total, as this first circle is coming to a close. And we will see where the next rotation happens. Looks like it's centered basically just northeast of Shifty Shafts, right on the river.
And you see how much Satan is trying to farm up to get any material possible. He can only build 14 walls or structures in total right now between the metal wood brick he has. A nice shot onto Ghoul. That puts him at 2 limbs, trying to push this duo towards a potential first point. Brilliantly done there. Remember, they need 4 limbs at least to get their first point on the board.
Jay Cuddy and Punisher, they kind of avoided an initial drop. They landed on the east side. This was a team I mentioned earlier just on the edge. Didn't want to get in an early engagement, but now might be the time if they know that Saint is by himself, or at least can try and figure out where he might be rotating to or from. We'll see if he swaps out that green tack shotgun for a blue pump.
And there's a look at the map at the bottom right of your screen. A little bit small, I know, but at least you can tell exactly where this zone is. So Nick Merckx and Harmful, for example, they're still sitting pretty inside Tilted Towers. You see, barely anyone on the north half of that zone, Ben, but on the other side of it, everyone's flooding from the south side of the map. It's going to get hectic quick as players move towards this second circle.
Surprises me to see. You'll actually notice, Jack, there are little steering wheel icons are vehicles, and there were less vehicles than I kind of anticipated at this point to see rotating around the zone. Only a few players, a few duo teams in Stormwings right now. We have Nick Merckx and Harmful in your bottom right there. They do have a team challenging them here in Tilted Towers. It's Naga Ops, Vakaros.
Nick at 114 structure he can build. When you look at this inventory, it's kind of got everything you want right now, man. Got the shotgun for the close range engagements. The SMG is there for the ready for the kind of spray down fights you need to get into. The AR for the mid to long range, the sniper rifle, if you can hit those shots, can be devastating. And finally, the mini to heal on up. It looks like Nick Merckx and crew are trying to claim the Big Gray building, the highest point of the Tilted Towers map.
I want to point out, too, you see there in the inventory, the exploded view of the trap list is actually quite impressive. That's a huge bonus to spectators, for everybody at home and us even watching here. Keep in mind, too, Storm Surge on your screen right there. There is a damage threshold that these players have to be above in order to avoid taking storm damage in the middle of a game.
Yes.
The idea there is to kind of, we'll say, trim the fat, keep the players that are not necessarily engaging as much as others, maybe give them a motivation.
Exactly. So again, that only triggers if they're above the certain player threshold in the lobby. So since there's still 76 players left, they're above that number, which will then trigger the Storm Surge. You see on the middle right side of the screen, it tells them exactly how much damage they are above the threshold, meaning right now, Naga Ops and them are safe. They won't take the storm damage. We're going to continue to flop through these different players as we take one final look at Tilted Towers, but now over to 72 Hours and his duo teammate. Not a fun spot to be in at all, it appears.
So he's getting eliminated. Dark picking up the first elim from Self and 72 Hours, and they do have Cease's teammate kind of stuck in a 1-by-1 in there. Learson hiding underneath. At this point, even though 72 Hours Tom is low, Learson doesn't necessarily know that, so avoiding a push at this point is probably the most important thing. Maybe even hoping for a third party, but it's not enough. Couldn't wait it out. 72 Hours and Dark secure ownership of that wall, get the edit, and Learson goes down to a pump shotgun.
And yeah, he just ripped him up with that. Remember, because of the 50 HP on the elimination, he goes from 29 health to 79. He's going to pop 2 minis as well. And now, 72 Hours has a rift to go in his inventory. You see right there, smiles from Dark. The fist bump comes in. I'm sure these guys don't play together a ton, but it's one of those unique experiences they get at a major competitive event, being randomized in these duos. It's awesome to see.
I think it speaks volumes to the fact that these players, a lot of these Fortnite competitive players, they all know each other. They're scrimming, every single day, every week, hours on end, honestly, and they mess around with each other on Twitter. They make jokes and stuff. So there's a lot of there is a lot of camaraderie here, and I love seeing that between players that are even they're in a competitive environment against each other.
Yep.
And like you said, Tom and Dark probably have not played together before this. I'm not sure. I apologize if that's incorrect, but the fact they got matched up and immediately can connect and start making plays together is huge.
Absolutely. It's great to see as Saf and Ronaldo right now. They did find an elimination and have retrieved the materials that have dropped off that body. Remember, when you get that elim, 50 of each material is rewarded in the player's loot as you go to run by and pick it on up. Right now, still no individual players above 2 eliminations, but some of these duos could be pushing towards that 4 elim threshold to earn themselves a point.
Interesting to see the first team that does establish that. You see in your map there, the rotation for that storm. We're starting up here in the next 3 seconds as players on Tilted, the north side of the map, the northeast side of the map. You have a few out in the middle. Everybody's going to have to start moving south-southwest. Things are going to start to get tight, Jack. Even on the north side of what is the next safe zone, you already have a number of teams stacked up in their little, their structures right next to each other, and you have players that have to rotate into the same location.
Yep.
Gatekeeping is going to be absolutely massive on the north side of the river. Ronaldo and Saf going to have to start pushing past Tom and Dark. 72 Hours just kind of waiting an opportunity to get into a build fight here, and you can see Tom establishing a top-down view on his opponents. They are not worried about an engagement. You see here this rotation against the bottom floor, a low ground warrioring their way in. They don't want to get in the fight. They don't want to have to push anybody at this point. They are more worried about the safe zone, storm damage, and putting themselves in a much better position. Actually moving ahead of 72 Hours and Dark, potentially the best play possible because they put themselves in a gatekeeping position. They're not even in the safe zone yet, but they get the opportunity to take shots because they took the chance to move straight past, just build those structures right above them, tunnel their way in and get inside.
This is such an awkward area to have to push on through. You see the clingers already coming into play from Schmecht and his duo. Sap and Ronaldo made it into the zone. That's IFA inside the double setup of the 1x1s there. A little panic build as he's now down to 48 builds, still with materials left. But again, he was just at 85 before they made that push. So slowly but surely, running lower and lower on materials. So much action has already gone down. About a third of our lobby has been eliminated. I'm sure we missed a couple quick things, but thankfully we've got Sundown to keep us up to date.
Thank you so much, Jack. We're going to jump right on into some of the action that we missed before. Here's some really good pressure coming out of Nekops and his partner, making sure he uses that sniper to close off the wall. And the gray tac shotgun, it gets a lot of flak, but in the early game, that high rate of fire allows him to put down a ton of pressure on unshielded opponents, and it rips through them. Able to convert on this 1v2 situation, and despite his teammate going down, picking up 2 nice elims. Now, switching over, we're going to see a nice 1v2 situation here in the Storm. Deuces and Tickers, they have a Stormwing down there. Rusky is trapped on the low ground. Edits his way down. They put the pressure, clean up the elim, not taking too much storm damage because they're able to jump in the Stormwing, run away. Great shot here. Commander Nate Hill on the low ground to pick up Bluty, and he regains the high ground, leaving himself in a position to drop shots on Zayt. Really good rotation, and then coming out, the last one, we're going to talk about securing elims. We saw the snipe to get this, but you want to lock that up and make sure you get that bonus 50 shield on hit, cleaning up Lenon down there on the low ground. Great play from them. Can't wait to see what happens in the end game.
Sundown, one of the most knowledgeable members of the Fortnite community about all things competitive. Great to have him on the team this week.
As we mentioned, a couple different eliminations happening over the course of the match here. 64 players left, 36 duos total.
There are still 64 players,
64 players in the
zone.
circle. And one of the most notable duos we mentioned earlier, the one that we're kind of keeping our eyes on, Chap and Cloaksy. Chap with a single elim, just under 100 builds, and they're stuck very close to multiple teams. Does not surprise me at this point. In competitive Fortnite, you often see this, a lot of more secure, strategic gameplay. No one wants to risk getting caught off guard here, caught on the outside. You see that I don't know if you caught that. That was a deagle shot into the wood wall right next to Cloak and did not break it. That changed from 150 to 100 already apparent.
Oh yeah.
Shots on Sheep and Dopai. Cloak trying to do any damage that he can. Applying pressure in a situation like this, especially as rotation is happening, is super important, because if someone comes up behind Dopai and Sheep, Cloak can take the opportunity to get an elimination or two for his duo. Looks like they might be safe at this point too. Jaeyoung and Blind just above them. Out of the southeast, and that stink grenade is going to push Cloak and Chap. The zoning ability of the stink, incredibly important, and they're going to keep applying pressure, forcing Cloak and Chap to rotate even more, burn through more builds.
And they're only 51 damage above that damage threshold. There goes Dopai and Sheep. It seems like for the moment they can breathe, as you've got Jaeyoung and Blind and Takata on nearby. The next zone has been revealed. We'll make sure to show you guys exactly where that stacks up. 56 players remaining. You see Jaeyoung and Blind very happy to be in this new zone. Cloaksy and Chap were in as well. They're just on the cusp of that damage threshold. But now this is where these lobbies begin to drop like flies, Lupo. When everyone's got to begin to move. 52 players remaining right now, but expect that number to dwindle quick.
Jaeyoung and Blind looking for any opportunity for a third party to catch someone rotating. That's Frosty saying just behind the hill there. Not on the same team, but Jaeyoung's trying to take advantage of the opportunity there. A lot of loot sitting out in the open, and Tyler's going to swing in just past. You see him shoot past the screen right there. The launch pad being very important for rotations. 50 players left, 49 players as the next storm starts to push, and everyone that is stuck outside of that white circle in your minimap is going to be in a tough spot of forced rotation. You're looking for people to start popping their rift to goes. A launch pad, you're going to see a lot of people recycle launch pads to try and move into this safe zone. Players will literally land on top of each other and build up as fast as possible. Cloak and Chap still running here, still alive. Multiple teams. Looks like Nick Merckx knocked down in there. It looks like actually Tfue had knocked Nick and secured that elimination. Nick Merckx out for this first game. Cloak and Chap sitting on 4 eliminations. That means they have secured a point already, Jack. An excellent spot to be in. The leaderboard, very important even in these early games. Every single elimination counts. Chap and Cloak both having to build and defend themselves. The edit's very important. You'll see quick resets to look through. They want to make those walls transparent so they can see any chance for a third-party shot.
And there's still a launch pad of the inventory of Cloaksy. They're actually close as well towards where this next zone will be. You see how far they're going to have to move for this next circle. We're about to be on storm 6 of 9 as it's pushing forward. Here we go. They're going to have a minute to make this move. 38 players. players remaining, 24 teams, so there's a lot of solos.
And Chap is going to be left all by himself. He's not going to be able to go out. Actually, look, the Storm is rotating back. Chap might still be able to get to him if he a lot of hustle can get there. And it's not. There's not enough.
Yeah, there's no way you go for that in that situation. But because of the zone, I think he's going to, yeah, he can stop and pop this medkit because it went directly back where he was. They've also got their tunnels that they've already used. 23 players remaining. Chap with 3 limbs to his name. Sam with 3 as well. Looks like Bowman now knocked. Vivid still alive, but barely. They do have a combined 4 eliminations, which will give them 1 point. Remember, via placement, you need to be top 5 to earn a point for placement in this duo competition. Vivid just bouncing around right now. Here's players above, trying to save some of those materials. Only 33 players left. Also, only 21 AR shots. That's a knock on the Funk Bomb. Can he go for the full cleanup? It doesn't appear so as of yet.
At this point, it might not be a big deal. The hope that Funk Bomb maybe gets caught by another player rotating to the same
it's
area.
A super far zone for him.
Everybody's got to move east, southeast, Jack.
DMO with 6 eliminations.
Are you kidding me?
I think they just got to 8 with Tfue still alive. Oh no, they didn't. Okay, I thought Tfue wound up getting that elim. Either way, 7 eliminations so far. That's going to wind up putting them at 2 points in this game.
Now it's 8 eliminations,
8,
Jack.
And now any more limbs they get is big bonus to start off game 1. 9 comes in. It's already a big bonus. 2 teams remaining. Can this be a ridiculous first game for DMO and Tfue? They could go for max points, plus the big bonus. Tfue popping some shields. They've got to continue to move. They're playing the low ground. Sam and crew trying to drop on down. Tfue the target of both enemies right now. DMO drops him in and chunks him down. It's a 2 versus 1. Tfue and DMO already with 10 eliminations. The big bonus has kicked in. It all comes down to Sam. The man has 3 elims alone. DMO and Tfue. Advantage in this game. Not many builds left. You see DMO still with 40 structures he can build. Tfue down to just 2. Here's a split of the duo. Sam up top with the heavy sniper rifle, trying to look for the opening. Again, still playing this low ground. They've got some traps to use as well if they'd like to. This is just game 1. Sam charging on in. DMO and Tfue trying to break through these walls. Sam still on the high ground. Sam now weak, and there he goes! DMO and Tfue, 11 eliminations, and the victory royale. What a surprise! Tfue's on top.
Absolutely unbelievable. These two, Ghost Gaming and FaZe, both have to feel fantastic about that. And this duo picking up the first victory royale. The final moments here, you see Psalm trying to assert dominance with that top-down view, but height isn't always the advantage. DMO and Tfue both applying pressure constantly. You saw DMO there shooting out the surface that Psalm was standing on, so Tfue could get that one last shot in, get that last elimination, secure the first victory royale of the day, Jack.
Was that just a 9-point game?
It was indeed.
I think that was a 9-point game from DMO and Tfue. My goodness, folks. Talk about an electric Game 1 performance. You see Nick Merckx smirking in the background. There's a reason why Tfue is still the winningest player in Fortnite prize money history.
Doesn't surprise me at all. And regardless of the elimination count, DMO had 9, Tfue had 2. That duo had 11, Jack, and that speaks volumes to how on top of the game they were every moment of the way. We even caught DMO in the middle of that. You were saying 6 eliminations, and then suddenly just snaps the shotgun over and picks up a 7th, an 8th, and they just keep on rolling, an unstoppable force every moment of that game.